Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Georgiman and I'm your friendly neighborhood anime and manga fan. I love all things anime and all things manga, and I'm here today with a very special video of the grand return of Hunter x Hunter. We got finally a new chapter after almost 2 years in chapter 401, and I'm very excited to talk about it because Hunter x Hunter is one of my favorite series of all time. I absolutely love Togashi. I think he's one of the GOATs, and I'm very excited to see the Succession War arc continuing because it's been a great arc up to this point, and the only thing that's been holding it back has been, the constant hiatuses. However, Togashi's health always comes first, and I understand that. So I'm just happy that Togashi's finally been able to, to get back in a healthy state that he can actually write this story and hopefully one day finish it, because that's obviously what we are all hoping for. Now, before I go any further with this very shocking chapter, I just want to give you guys a quick reminder to make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you guys can be up to date with all my Hunter x Hunter, as well as all my anime and manga content that I'll be providing in this channel. It really helps out a lot, and I would really appreciate it if you guys could subscribe to my YouTube channel. So if you guys could, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get into this week's chapter. So this week's chapter starts out right where we left off in the previous chapter, if you guys remember from 2 years ago, where we see Kurapika meeting up with one of the, security guards of one of the other princesses. And we see that it's this lady called Linghu. I believe that's her name. I could be wrong. Correct me in the comment section if I butchered her name. But the point of the matter is, she said that, her Nan abilities had awakened. And we see that Kurapika's okay, well, show us. Because they were going to do the test to see what kind of nature you are, but she's like, no, I'm already awakened, so you don't have to do any of that. And we see that her ability, it's pretty much the Moonlight Crest or something like that. I forget what it's called. You'll have an image right here, but we see that pretty much this ability, it's pretty much lets people do contracts, and these contracts will either limit people's power or grant them power themselves, depending if they fulfill the contract or if they do not. And it's a pretty cool ability. I mean, Togashi's always been very creative with his abilities and all that. I think Nan is the most well balanced power system in all of fiction, in my opinion. That's just me though. And what we see after that is pretty much Kurapika and his buddy. They're talking to her. It's like, well, like what would we want to join with you? We don't understand. And we see that, she's like, hey, listen, you want to work with me because there's a lot of stuff that you don't know about. Like, then let's write a contract, and this contract will give us like, a truce for the time being. And Kurapika said, nah, let me pull out the Glock. Kurapika pulls up the Glock and he's like, so like, what's stopping me from just using like, a gun and just ending you? And she's like, really? You think Nen bullets will like you think bullets will just kill a Nen user? That's not how it works, bro. And he's like, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right, you're spitting. And what we see is that she pretty much tells Kurapika, like, listen, you have to trust me because I know a lot of information, and the information she drops in this chapter is mind-blowing. It's very like groundbreaking, and it completely flips the arc upside down and on its head, and just completely changes the entire structure of it, because for the longest time we thought that the princesses were gonna just assassinate each other to see who's gonna be the ruler of the Kakin, the empire or whatever. But in this week's chapter we get a revelation that she's just like, hey, yeah, the reason I know so much about the inner workings and beyond Neto and all that is because I'm her daughter. I'm his daughter. And Kurapika and everybody's like, wait, what are you talking about? What? And she fills in pretty much the whole, like the whole inner workings of Beyond Neto, because my man is like playing 4D chess. My man has, strategically placed all his seeds everywhere, and I mean that figuratively and literally, because we find out that I guess Beyond Neto had had multiple kids, and these kids were by people that were in the military of the Kakuin, like higher ups. So eventually those kids will join the military and then become servants / bodyguards to the princesses. So it seems right now that Beyond Neto has a really strong grasp in the inner workings and the politics of the empire of Kakin. And we obviously know that Kurapika is protecting one of the princesses, the youngest one, I believe. And we see that pretty much as they're talking, she's like, listen, my father, Beyond Neto, he placed a curse on all of us. So right now, just so you guys understand, there's 14 out of the remaining princesses, whatever. 10 of them are super strong. Apparently that's what she says, and she says that pretty much there's a curse that he inflicted on us, when we were born, and this curse is pretty much has us at his will, because if we don't obey him, we'll be killed. And you see this creepy image, like this illustration. I was like, yo, Togashi's going back to his roots, like the Chimera Ant arc, with all that creepy imagery, he's going back to that, because this image of like the person inside of the mouth, like it's like a curse or something, that was crazy. It looked like in my opinion, it looked like something like you get from like a horror manga, like something like Junji Ito or something. It was really well done on Togashi's part, so mad props on the art. And we see continuing from there, you see there's a moment where she's talking and she's like, by the way, like, because then Kurapika's like asking like, well, what is this game plan? He wants to kill all the princesses and like what, take over? Like, how does that work? And you see that pretty much there's another bombshell dropped by Linho, which is that she announces also, because originally Kurapika was like, what, he's gonna side with one of the princesses and have an alliance. I was like, no, you don't understand. He literally, I'm under the suspicion, or I don't even think she's a suspicion. I think she just says like, I know that one of the princesses is one of Netoru's kids themselves. So you're like, what? And then you find out that this is the whole part of the ritual for the, you know, the Kankuin Emperor. He wants to eliminate all the contests so he can eventually have his offspring, you know, become the emperor, and then he can, you know, take over the Empire Kakin. So it's like, my man was playing like 7D chess with all this like strategic moves that he was making. And we see that pretty much everybody's like, how could this happen? And he's like, and the lady that was with Kurapika, you know, the caregiver of one of the princesses, the youngest one that Kurapika's taking care of, she's just like, well, like, for people to succeed the throne and become, or even be called a prince, they don't necessarily need to be related to the emperor himself. They just have to be related to like his wife or whatever. So that would make sense that why he, you know, one of Beyond Netoru's kids would be considered a prince, because it's from one of his wives and all that. So it's just very shocking. Like Beyond Netero, like my man was getting busy, man. My man was like, you know, just breeding season for him. My man was in those P. Diddy parties for all I know. He was in a freak on, man. He's a freak. But what we see is pretty much towards the end of the chapter, after all these revelations, you know, keep popping out back and forward, we see that eventually Kurapika, you know, comes to an agreement with Linho, and she's like, okay, let's sign the deal. And she signs the deal, and she admits in this deal, like, okay, until next week, we shall have a truce. We should not be, you know, fighting with each other. Which, by the way, a point to note is that we're in the 10th day inside of the whale ship. So just for anybody clarifying, how long has it been since they actually got into the ship? It's been 10 days since the embarking of the ship taking off. So just a clarification. But we see that she's like, we will have a truce for a week. As long as that happens, none of our men and none of my men can harm each other, and, you know, no conflicts like that. Or he's like, okay, fine, fair enough. As long as you don't break the rules, everything should be good. It's like, okay, well, what do I get out of it? It's like, okay, if you do not break the contract, what you will get out of this is that once this is all up, the week comes over, you will be able to use my ability, because I guess her, like, one of the pen that she's able to write it, it's like, if you fulfill her requirements, therefore you're able to use her power once. So then hypothetically Kurapika could use that power as well, you know, going forward in the story with somebody. Who, I don't know, but with somebody in general. So that's something to look for. And how the chapter ends is pretty much, you see Kurapika and her, you know, they're in the same page. It's like, okay, let's work together. Let's eliminate Beyond Netero. And talking about him, you see my man just posing in the Crip. He's still with his handcuff, you know, like against the, like in the cell, because, you know, he's a criminal, according to the ship and all that. And pretty much they have the Zodiac guy, the Tiger guy or whatever. He's like, you know, mocking him. It's like, man, you suck. Because I guess Beyond Netero is like, do you have any more books to read? I'm done. It's like, no, read that book again. Like, that's what the guy says. It's like, he's just hating. And pretty much we see Beyond Netero is like, okay, well, I got a lot of moves to do. Like, my man just scheming. My man is plotting. My man is doing whatever he has to do to get that throne, because he's been making all these inner workings look flawlessly. My man is just a genius level IQ. And overall, I'm very excited about the way that Togashi has just completely shaken the arc, because we have been absent from the manga for a long time, and this really it reignites the passion and, like, you know, the unpredictability that Togashi is so notorious for bringing into the table when it comes to Hunter x Hunter. And I'm very excited to see this going forward. And I can't wait for next week's chapter and the one after and the one after, because I know he has a couple of chapters stocked up, so I can't wait to see what my man is cooking. But with all that being said, what did you guys think about this week's chapter? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys say it was alright? Whatever you guys thought, let me know in the comment section down below. Also, thank you so much for sticking all the way to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Hunter x Hunter, as well as more anime and manga content in the near future. But yeah, with all that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.